Welcome back. We're looking at some new polling numbers out this week from Survey USA showing Governor Holcomb with a 30-point lead in the race for governor. Dr. Woody Myers with 25%, Donald Rainwater 10%. And in the race for president here in Indiana, Hoosier voters giving President Trump a 49-42 edge over former Vice President Joe Biden. Let's bring in our panel right now. Dr. Laura Wilson, Republican Mike Murphy, and Democrat Robin Winston. Laura, I'll start with you. What do you make of these numbers as we continue to fight against COVID-19? The governor with a big lead, the president with a smaller margin than he enjoyed in 2016 here in Indiana.
Yeah, I think in many ways these numbers shouldn't surprise us. Obviously, in terms of the gubernatorial race, in many regards, it's been overshadowed with everything else going on, not to mention the presidential election. As you noted, this was a place where Donald Trump won by 19 percentage points back in 2016. The fact that the polls show it might be a closer race tells you just how competitive this election is. And I think how much Hoosiers are paying attention to the top of the ticket, certainly as they mark their ballots. Early voting has started in Marion County, and that for people that are getting ready or just weeks away from the actual election on November 3rd itself.
And a lot of people are already voting. Robin, Mike, I'll turn to you guys next here on a different set of numbers. The state's COVID numbers are really going the wrong direction in recent days here, Robin, and certainly that topic very much top of mind for the candidates for governor.
Well, I think that the governor's got to make a decision. You know, on one side, he's got Rainwater and elements of his party pressuring him to open things up as much as they can. But the reality is, on the other side, he's got staggering numbers that even affected his own health commissioner who contracted COVID-19. This has got to be addressed. It's got to be addressed in a very, very systematic way, and not just capitulating to elements of his party or conservatives to assuage their concerns before the election is the way to go. This is a health pandemic. It's got to be addressed as such. We didn't win. I wish we would have won, but thousands of Hoosiers right now could have been voting with no fault absentee if the governor had done that. But unfortunately, we've got people standing in lines for hours. So COVID-19 is a cloud that hangs over everything that we're doing in our daily lives.
Mike, your response to that and the impact here in this race for governor?
Well, first of all, I don't think Governor Holcomb has capitulated to anybody. If he did, either the far right would love him or the far left would love him. And he's right in the middle where I think he should be looking at the science. I don't think you can blame the governor for the numbers going the wrong way, which they obviously are going the wrong way. I'd look in the mirror. Every Hoosier should look in the mirror and ask themselves and their family members and their neighbors, are you doing everything you're supposed to be doing to keep this virus tamped down? I've been in several restaurants and several situations where I've seen people absolutely ignoring the request from the governor to wear a mask in public. And I think we're bringing it upon ourselves as Hoosiers because we have this cultural bent that we don't like to be told what to do.
Laura, obviously that same dynamic playing out at the national level in the race for president, the president now feeling better. We saw these dueling town halls last week with President Trump and Vice President Biden. And again, in that race, certainly COVID-19 also the dominant issue.
It is. I think obviously this is something that's really important for voters, and understanding, as we said, it impacts so many aspects of our daily lives, of course, the economy, education, naturally healthcare. I think when you saw those dueling town hall debates, that's a major issue for voters. You heard the concerns that voters have with it. And no doubt there are a lot of important aspects to consider when you're casting your ballots, but 2020 has certainly been a year marked by COVID, and I don't think people will just forget about it when they go to the polls. It's going to play a large role in many people's votes.
And we don't know how things are going to play out this coming week in terms of the next presidential debate. Robin, Mike, where do you see things here with just a couple weeks left to go? Robin?
Well, I hope the next debate isn't a WWF or WWE brawl like the first one was. I hope that it's more sensible. I hope that people will be able to walk away from there. The very, very narrow group that is still undecided will see how Joe Biden handled himself last night or earlier this week on the stage, an hour and a half town hall, and then stayed around afterwards to answer questions of people that they weren't able to reach. Now that is a complete contrast to how we saw the president. This thing is far from over nationally. I tell people all the time when we're on Biden calls, we're far from over. So we've got to make sure that we mobilize and get our people out to the polls. But I think this very narrow group that's still left undecided is going to be very, very keyed in on this debate. And candidates better bring their best game to the debate.
So, Mike, if some of the poll numbers are to be believed and Biden's ahead nationally and just down by a few points here in Indiana, how does that impact some of these other key races in the Hoosier State, including that 5th district race between Christina Hale and State Senator Victoria Spartz?
I think statewide we're in good shape. Obviously, according to the recent polling, Rokita is up over Weinstapel, who's a good candidate, by the way, by 13 points or so. But look at Hamilton County. All of these normally really safe Republican legislators are up on TV. That's expensive. And that means they're seeing something in their own internal polling that says this isn't all over for them yet either. They still have a chance to lose or win, obviously. And they're have to get their A game going just in this last, whatever it is, 2.5 weeks. We expect, the internal people I talk to expect Trump to win Indiana by 5 to 6 points. And those are people who are seeing internal numbers. And it's pretty consistent with what this Survey USA or whatever it's called was earlier this week.
Laura, obviously that 5th district race really key here in Indiana. A lot of focus on that race, as Mike just mentioned, you know, the national implications there as well. You heard the interviews that we did there with Senator Spartz and with Christina Hale. You're getting a lot of outside attention on that race, a lot of outside money as well, with commercials on the air left and right for both of these candidates.
There are, and I'm glad you mentioned the commercials, because I know when I watch college footballs on Saturday, you see these commercials that aren't actually funded by the candidates, but interest groups too. There's an incredible amount of attention, and obviously this is important for the 5th Congressional District, who takes over retiring Susan Brooks's seat. But in the national implications here, remember the Democrats won back the House in 2018. Whichever party is in charge will be certainly powerful as we go into redistricting coming off of the 2020 census. So there's a lot hinging, maybe not just on this one single seat, but a lot of attention, again, not just here in Indiana, but as you said, nationwide as well.
And you mentioned college football. We certainly wish Coach Saban well. We know how big of an Alabama fan you are. Robin, Mike, what else are you keeping an eye on here with 2 weeks to go before the election?
The record number of people standing around the corners, all the way wrapped around buildings to vote in every county. This is tremendous. I mean, people have not lost their enthusiasm for voting. People are bringing, I was talking to Russell Hollis, the deputy director of the Marion County Clerk's office, and he said that people were there at 5:30 in the morning the other day when he came into the office, lined up to vote, and they don't even open until later that morning. So the enthusiasm and the commitment, the key word in voting, is there. People want to vote this cycle, and I'm looking forward to a record turnout. Mike, you get the last word.
Well, I would watch Donald Trump, frankly, and the people around him. I'm starting to sense some desperation. The blame game is starting, even though he's far from losing. He could easily turn this thing around. But you're seeing more extreme statements, a lot of finger pointing, and you're seeing really erratic behavior by the president himself. Okay. So we'll see how this debate goes next week, and we'll see how the money spent goes.
All right. Mike, Robin, Laura, thanks so much. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.